located in St. Mary's, which is a town with a population of about 6,500. My background is museum studies, and so I've worked in a number of museums, and the opportunity came to work here in St. Mary's, and currently I'm the Senior Manager of Cultural Services with the town. So my responsibilities are the museum, the archives, heritage for the town, as well as the daycare here in town as well. St. Mary's today was part of the Huron Tract, which was a parcel of land that was purchased by a group of businessmen in England. And St. Mary's, or the area of Blanchard Township, was first surveyed in 1839. And James and Thomas Ingersoll were the first to purchase land in what is currently St. Mary's. So they purchased a large portion of land, which became sort of the downtown core of St. Mary's in 1841. St. Mary's was an ideal location when it was first surveyed in 1839 because of the Thames River and Trout Creek. So it had wonderful waterways for powering mills, sawmills, grist mills. And in what is currently St. Mary's. So they purchased a large portion of land, which became sort of the downtown core of St. Mary's in 1841. Thomas and James Ingersoll, when they purchased property in 1841, it was sort of with the guarantee that they would start a grist mill and sawmill. And that was what sort of really was the foundation of St. Mary's. By 1844, St. Mary's itself was surveyed, so it was laid out on a grid pattern, and development really sort of started to happen at that time in the early 1840s. So it was the water power, fertile soil land, sort of the trees, as well as the natural limestone. A lot of the early settlers, like the James and Thomas Ingersoll, as well as the Tracy family, which George Tracy built the house where the museum is currently located, they came up from Oxford County. So these were settlers that were already established in other areas of Ontario, predominantly Beachville, Ingersoll area, and then came up to purchase land in St. Mary's. When you think about St. Mary's being sort of settled in 1841, that's pretty late compared to other pockets of Upper Canada at that time. But it was available land, so moving forward, the ability to purchase good quality land was a draw. Also, the coming of the railroad in 1857 and 1858 really allowed St. Mary's to boom. So now you have the ability to export limestone. Because of the fertile soil, the grain market here in St. Mary's really helped it to develop and grow. So suddenly you could export those raw materials to Toronto, to Montreal, far beyond the borders of St. Mary's, and that really helped to establish and help sort of St. Mary's grow in that 1850s, 1860s, and 1870s period. For the very first settlers, the limestone was sort of right on the surface of the Thames River. So from very early on in the 1840s, there were individual stonemasons who owned their own quarries and would quarry in the good weather and then would cut and dress the stone in the winter months. So from the very sort of first settlement, limestone was very important. The first sort of buildings that were built in St. Mary's, from houses to businesses in the downtown, the first method of construction was timber. That was the raw, the easiest material, and it was very much available. So the very first buildings were sort of log shanties, and then the next building material was limestone. So when buildings started to be replaced in the 1850s, limestone was the method of sort of the resource that was being used. Later on in the 1870s and 1880s, when styles changed and brick became popular, that's when you see in the downtown, you sort of can date the buildings in the downtown based on the building material. So We have quite a few buildings still from the 1850s that were constructed of stone. You can see the later popularity of red brick and blonde brick. And then again, there was a resurgence of limestone in the building of such municipal buildings as the St. Mary's Public Library, the Town Hall, and local limestone were used for those as well.